The long-awaited runes and build guide for Talon Jungle is finally here. Before we get into the setup, let's quickly review Talon's strengths and weaknesses as a jungler, to give you a general idea of what this champ can and can't do effectively. Starting off with his strengths, Talon can deal very high burst damage, he has decent area damage, he can outplay people with stealth, he is basically the fastest jungler on the map once you have Ghostblade, he can adapt to a lot of situations if you pull off the right combos, which is both mastery in mechanics and knowledge of damage limits. He can control wave states safely and effectively by quickly hard shoving or even proxy clearing in a bad situation. He doesn't have any mana issues, which is good for wave clearing mid and late game. He is one of the stronger objective takers if you're not behind, but nothing too special here. He has really good entry access to potentially steal objectives thanks to his parkour and stealth, and a decent smite burst. He's very versatile with his builds. You can build him to play as a full burst lethality assassin, or a hybrid assassin duelist, or even a bruiser. And thanks to his decent itemization currently, he is pretty much able to be picked and played in almost any draft, which makes him a good blind pick. And now onto his weaknesses. He only deals raw physical damage. This makes armor very effective to counter his damage, as he has no weird damage types, no magic damage, no true damage in his kit. Being one item ahead against a bruiser with plated steel caps, especially with feats of strength, is probably going to be a losing fight. He is very reliant on proccing his passive, so dashes, CC, or just misplaying your own combo can cost you a passive stack, which turns your damage from lethal to laughable. And naturally so, he is weak against more durable comps, and while he does have builds to adapt to more durable comps, he doesn't necessarily shine in these drafts, and yeah, that's pretty normal. He's pretty resource greedy. As an assassin carry jungler, he wants to have all the gold to be funneled to him whenever possible. You want your damage to scale faster than enemy durability does, as not being able to one-shot people makes you pretty useless in many games. Getting an assist was very bad, and besides, you always want yourself to be the liability to improve in solo queue. Anything that counters bursts like Zonras and exhaust will make your life very difficult, and you'll have to adapt your targeting and playstyle. For runes, Talon currently has 3 main options: Fleet Footwork, Conqueror, or Dark Harvest. There are weaker and more difficult options that I won't recommend here, and those are Phase Rush, Heal of Blades, Electrocute, and First Strike. But again, I won't recommend them as they are not optimal in my opinion. If there's one rune page you want to spam until end of season, it's Fleet Footwork, Triumph, Legend Haste, and Coup de Grace, paired with Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight secondary. I'm going to explain this one in detail because it's not a typical rune you'd expect on an assassin champ, but it's also just his best rune page. Fleet Footwork has consistently been Talon's go-to rune this entire season, and will be until the end of season 15. I recommend taking it by default as it is the easiest rune setup to play, while also being the least conditional team comp wise. For other runes, you're looking for certain picks and comps, but for Fleet Footwork, you can just take it every game really. You can adapt to build too, however I would typically build and play as an assassin. This became the best rune page for Talon jungle, especially with the current build, because it simply covers all of Talon's weaknesses, which makes them very powerful in jungle. The strongest junglers this season are the ones that can gain and abuse the tempo advantage, and Fleet enables Talon to do so. Fleet heals you a lot in jungle as you get the full effects when you proc it on monsters, and also towers if you didn't know. This makes you a lot healthier than you would normally be, which is simply broken for Talon jungle as it enables you to be way more active on the map. This could be farming and stealing camps before resetting, even from very low HP, having more HP for invades, being a lot less vulnerable to dying from enemy invades, soloing objectives, and even just ganking with a larger HP gap. The speed from Fleet is also a mini phase rush that can come in handy for some plays, but it's not something to overthink about. Triumph is taken because nothing else on that row is useful. Coup de Grace is preferred because as an assassin, you're looking for kills and cleanups, not DPSing enemy team. Magical Footwear is still better than Cashback, despite the latter's buffs. Magical Footwear has been a staple rune for Talon jungle for years now, as you can focus on your legendary item spikes, most notably your first item, which is Ghostblade almost every game. It has a nice extra 10 movement speed, so when paired with Ghostblade, you won't feel Talon's atrocious base 335 movement speed issue anymore. With the movement speed issue sorted out, you can also just not build T2 boots until sometimes even your 4th item, but typically your third, and sometimes your second if you're really ahead. The 10 extra movement speed also makes it worth over 400 gold, so it's essentially a damage rune as you invest that gold instead into Ghostblade, which in theory will net you more gold anyway thanks to a scaling and tempo advantage compared to cashback. To put it into perspective, a single kill earned from an earlier Ghostblade means cashback doesn't break even until your 4th item. Cosmic Insight is nice for Talon as he simply becomes deadly with Flash or Ignite, and triple tonic value for Talon is mostly getting a Dirk for your first recall. It's also quite important for early invades as having a smite advantage is going to be more common as triple tonic is becoming pretty popular these days. Moving on to the pure assassin setup, we have Dark Harvest, Sudden Impact, Trinket CDR rune, and Ultimate Hunter, paired with the same secondary runes. Take Dark Harvest in games where you are playing against a very squishy and ranged team comp. The minimum requirement to take these runes would be 3 squishy targets on an enemy team, especially if both the ADC and support are easy to kill. As a full assassin, you do want to avoid confronting bruisers and tanks, and focus on doing the job, which is assassinating the easy targets. This is the traditional way to play assassins, as you're always prioritizing to punish and abuse the squishy picks. I know a lot of people think First Strike is good, but for years I have not recommended it, and if that's not enough to stop you from taking it over Electrocute or Dark Harvest, the latter which has been buffed and is very good for junglers right now, then I just hope you enjoy generating half an item in a 40-minute game. It's like magical footwear versus cashback again. A single kill you earn from having a stronger rune choice means the so-called money generating rune is already outvalued for a very long time. And lastly, for the hybrid setup, we have Conqueror, Triumph, Attack Speed or Haste, and Last Stand, paired with the same secondary runes, once again. Take Conqueror in games where they have a pretty melee heavy comp. Simply put, these will be games where you cannot really avoid fist fighting. These picks will typically be more tanky, which will demand you to play extended fights, and Talon is actually a really strong champ when he plays for 2 or more rotations, if he is able to. It's a limit test setup, and you will need to know how to weave auto attacks, delay burst damage, and play fights slower generally, but it does have the highest potential in fights, so it's pretty fun. One thing Talon players don't know is that you can actually just build assassin items while running Conqueror. It is valid to take Conqueror if you think it will be important for early game, but you can just adapt your build to just play as an assassin as the game progresses. You're still building Ghostblade first, so that option is always available should you decide playing as an assassin seems more useful. For some spells, you're only choosing between Flash or Ignite. Take Flash when you're going to play an assassin build, as he will prefer the target access over the damage from Ignite. This is almost every game for Fleet Footwork and Dark Harvest. Target access is a lot more important in mid and late game, where your team needs you to be one-shotting the backline, which wouldn't be possible without Flash sometimes, even with a flank. It also enables a few more combos, and of course Flash is generally good and safe to take. Take Ignite when you expect mini fights, where you don't need target access for assassinations anymore. It has a lot more value if 1 or 2 or maybe even more enemies pick champs that really like healing. Ignite is strong for early game kills like a level 3 gank or 1v1 invades, and it could also be very effective when you're going for shutdowns and you need that extra damage and anti-heal. Ignite is usually only for Conqueror setups, thanks to its low range aggressive playstyle synergy and even providing Conqueror stacks. Lastly, items. Talon's itemization is fortunately pretty straightforward and doesn't change that often. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible here. Your standard Fleet Footwork assassin build will be Ghostblade, Axiom Arc, Opportunity, Seroda's Grudge, and Edge of Night. For your first item, Ghostblade is simply the best option thanks to its movement speed that Talon really needs. Second, Axiom covers the cost of taking Fleet, which is not having Ultimate Hunter. You also have relatively high ability haste, which is nice for clearing camps and objectives. The third best in slot is often Opportunity, as it is cheap while providing the most damage with a good build path. However, this is also the item slot to consider situationals like Serpents and Edge of Night, so be wary of that. Having a Last Whisper as 4th item is always good. It's not too early to lose value and it's not too late to have already lost the game because of armor stacking. While you can build another lethality item here against squishy comps, it's still a smart and safe choice here, unless you're smurfing. And lastly, it's often Edge of Night if you still don't have it, just to make the one-shots easier and not get picked by CC abilities. If you're running Dark Harvest, your build will be Ghostblade, Opportunity, Edge of Night, Seroda's Grudge, and maybe Axiom last. First again is Ghostblade, Talon's bread and butter. Second here is Opportunity, as it's the highest damage option here, and you're just relying on Ultimate Hunter for the haste. Edge of Night next, to complete the lethality trio, making it very hard for squishies to do anything against you. And again, last versus per 4th is still a solid option 4th, even against squishy targets. Unless they are immensely behind, you can build another lethality item. Last item can be anything. However, Axiom is actually quite nice here as a default option even at level 16, because with Ultimate Hunter, at this stage you can easily pull off 2 ults in one fight. And lastly, for the Conqueror build, Ghostblade, Hubris, Black Cleaver, Death Stance, and GA. Or Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, Death Stance, and then just anything really. Conqueror builds are still focusing on damage, especially with a Ghostblade start. After Ghostblade it does get a bit tricky though. Since there's much more deviance in these builds, it's better to read what's on the screen here instead of me trying to explain everything. Basically though, Conqueror builds want to stat check, however sometimes you will realize going for a burst damage playstyle is still better, so remember that you can still build and play like an assassin with Conqueror. Alright, that's it for my season 15 runes and items. I'm sorry this video came very late into the season, but I hope it helps your grind for the last month of season 15. As for the next season, I have tested a tiny bit so far, and here's my quick season 16 build recommendation. Alright, thanks for watching, and I hope it helps. Peace.